as the Cowboys lose to Jacksonville 28-23. Bobby Belt, you were in the house as our Cowboys insider, and this is how we started with Wanye Thomas, one of your star ups.
Yeah, Wanye Thomas, a guy who has been really impressive out in Oxnard, out in the training camp practices. That's a guy who's gotten a lot of credit from the coaching staff. He's somebody who's gotten an increased amount of first-team reps, especially with Donovan Wilson being out. He's getting rotated in a lot more. And so that was somebody who, you know, we look at this as essentially it's a four-step process when trying to evaluate how real the guys you have on the roster are. So you get to Oxnard, you get to training camp. All right, you've got the opening practice. You obviously want to see guys come in prepared, show what they have. Okay, that's step one. Step two then becomes, all right, when the pads come on, does it stick around? Are they still making an impact? Step three, it's like, okay, if you've checked these boxes, can you carry it over into game speed? Can you carry it over into the preseason? Then obviously the last step is, now that we're in the regular season, what is real? What is this evaluation we feel like we've seen over the course of these three different segments? Is it real? And so this was a big step for a number of guys to show, hey, carry this over from practice, carry it over to game speed. And Wanye Thomas, I think, was one that they were wondering about. And right out of the gate, has the interception. He got beat a little. There was a little bit of separation, but I still don't know what Trevor Lawrence saw on that, because the whole way we were watching it, I was sitting in the dining room with Eric, and it was this like view from behind the quarterback was the internal feed. And as he's rolling out, I just was sitting there thinking to myself, I was like, who's he looking at? Because he can't throw this pass. And he threw it up. I was like, oh, okay, he's going to try. And tried to drop it in over his head and made the interception. Good to see that pick, especially after, you know, Thomas had to leave practice last week with a cognitive evaluation when they thought he had a concussion. So a good performance from him.
He did get beat on a big completion a little bit later on. So mark that up as well. But Wanye Thomas starting off the game nice. But that's the only clip we can play before we get to the star of the game. I did hear Bobby predict it, and Pepe, you may have to go back and pull it. He does look good here for a second, because the Deuce was loose.
Shotgun for Greer. Handoff on, coming right. Bangs in. Touchdown, Deuce. Cowboys have their first lead of the preseason. And a star is born.
Deuce Vaughn, 4 carries, 20 yards on the first drive. When you and Brian Broaddus talk about Barry Sanders with Bijan Robinson, this is what you're supposed to be talking about. This elusiveness, these moves, this low center gravity freak making people look stupid out there on an NFL field. He then ripped off a 26-yarder. He had a third down red zone catch that extended the drive, and that led to the rushing touchdown that Brad Sham called. Overall, Roberto, the 6th-round pick, Deuce Vaughn, 8 carries, 50 yards, a touchdown, 3 catches for 6 yards, and he is must-see TV after game 1.
Yeah, and you mentioned that catch there on the little Texas route that he had, and if that's just a better thrown ball from Will Greer, he walks into the end zone. He elevated the pass a little bit, which I know is easy to do with Deuce Vaughn when he's 5'5".
There was an earlier one, too. I think it was Rush that may have thrown it. It got called back. It may have been a pick. But the announcers were trying to figure out if that was a height issue where Deuce was wide open. And I don't think they went to the replay. By the way, star down, television department. Bobby, you were at the game. Ooh, that was game 1 of the preseason for them. Camera was left, right, looking for everything. They had time to edit Dak Prescott's mic'd up audio during half. They still came back with him dropping F-bombs and S-bombs that Kyle Yeomans had to apologize for. Whew, rough game.
Missed that.
Yes.
I'm devastated that I missed that. That would have been fun.
Did you catch that, Peyton?
I did not. I was here, so I was just watching, not audio, but
it was very rough. They had Mike doesn't want to do, Dak doesn't want to do mic'd up for the Netflix show, but he was doing it as a cheerleader throughout this game, but he was saying good S, and F-bomb. And they had a chance to edit all this before playing the highlight package at intermission, and they didn't clean it up. So Kyle had to apologize for Dak's language.
I'm upset that I missed that. But on Deuce Vaughn specifically, you got to remember he is the shortest player in the last 25 years. So there is going to be probably a little bit of an adjustment period, because frankly, these quarterbacks have never thrown to a window that small. It is
you're punching a little person.
There's nobody in the NFL that has thrown to anybody that small. And so Deuce Vaughn, he is a smaller guy, but you see the shiftiness, the elusiveness, the agility. That's the stuff that's no surprise that it carries over. When you see that on the practice field, it's like, whenever we ask, like, oh, can Jalen Brooks carry it over? Can Jalen Tolbert carry it over? Can this guy play as well as we've seen in practice and things like that? One of the things that you absolutely knew would carry over is that elusiveness. That shows up in practice. That's going to show up on the game tape. The question is obviously always going to be at 5'5" flat, and that might be generous. It's shocking to see how small he is. At 5'5" flat, is he somebody who his frame is going to be able to hold up? So far, through these padded practices, through picking up Dante Fowler on a blitz in practice, through getting into these game reps in the preseason, it doesn't look to be a problem.
Deuce, after scoring his first NFL touchdown, and the confidence level after the game.
A lot of confidence, just because of you never know. It's a question mark coming in whenever you're about to play your first NFL game. It was like that when you played college. Wondering if you could adapt to the speed, wondering if you could do everything and be able to be successful. So it gives me a lot of confidence, but also understanding that it's just a preseason game, just the first of many. And we got 2 more, and we got worked at least to put in throughout the week to get ready for this next one. And now I'm ready to move on to the next one.
Nice job, Ryan. Syncing up Deuce on the fan cam with the video and the audio as well. God, we screwed up not getting him at training camp. We took J-Ron Curse over Deuce. I blame you for that.
I still think J-Ron Curse was it was early, obviously, but J-Ron Curse gave us some good quotes. It's just it was said in a very he was still waking up sort of manner. I think we could have subbed in Deuce for Pollard, but that's another discussion.
Oh, yeah, let's take the backup running back.
I mean, we took the backup tight end, right, Sean?
Philip Tanner, former Cowboys back, tweeted, "Yes, this is awesome. This is fantastic, electric, all that. They still need another back." So let me just ask you a very basic, simple question of why can't Deuce Vaughn be the 2 or the 3 behind Pollard and insert other name?
I mean, he can, as long as you're recognizing that you're not going to be able to, in all likelihood, to have him in pass protection. And so, I mean, it's going to be.
And can you throw to him?
you can throw to him, and I mean, Dak hasn't had any trouble. I mean, look, I get we're talking about Dak Prescott, one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the NFL, but Dak hasn't had any trouble hitting him in these practices. I think, and I'm half kidding about the size thing. I mean, I do think it does matter. It is a tougher adjustment. But, part of this is also just you're playing with not great quarterbacks. You're playing with third stringers, a guy in Will Grier who's struggled for a long time. But Deuce Vaughn is somebody who you can't have him in there as a bell cow because he's just not going to be able to blitz pick up.
All right, give us your star ups, star downs, y'all, on the truckwreck.com text line for game 1 of the Cowboys versus Jacksonville, 877-881-1053. We got to give props to a receiver who has a big prove-it year ahead.
23 seconds left. Dallas is 1st and 10. Inside the 20. Grier back, sets, throws to the middle. Caught at the 2, and Turpin steps in. Sorry, Tolbert. 18, Tolbert for the Dallas touchdown.
Jalen Tolbert, star up from the morning show. He also had a very nice sideline catch that was called back.
That was, and I don't know how you felt about it. Maybe the TV replay showed something different. We all sitting in the press box felt like that was a ticky-tack offensive pass interference call.
It was.
Personally. And so, but look, here's the thing. The good thing about the preseason, obviously, is it does not matter to the end result. So what the Cowboys are happy to see, what he puts on film there is South Alabama Jalen Tolbert, which is that's the guy. That's the guy who, has the little hand check at the end of the route, goes up, shows the catch radius, attacks the ball, the my ball mentality that we've all wanted to see from him. And then he has the awareness, the sideline awareness to come down, tiptoe in bounds. That was a big positive for him. Even though that gets taken back, that 30-yard reception, that's something that he put the traits on film that the team wants to see. And he still had those 2 other catches. He had the touchdown. He had the concentration on the tip ball in the air that he caught. It's positive regardless for Jalen Tolbert, because this is something where he's now checked 2 boxes along the way, the padded practices, the preseason game, that he never got to last year, and that confidence is just going to continue to build. And he talked about that postgame, that confidence was the biggest thing for him.
Our biggest defensive star up. We did nail this interview thanks to Joe Trahan. Cowboys PR said, this guy's perfect for your show. He was our final interview of camp. He may have been the best one. DeMarvion Overshown showing up all over the football field.
Yeah, especially on that 3rd and 1 carry to Tank Bigsby, which Tank Bigsby, the rookie running back from Auburn, that is a guy who he makes his money running downhill, playing physical, big back. Those 3rd and 1 carries, that's the type of thing that's going to be his MO in the league. And DeMarvion Overshown, he's not a thick-built linebacker.
No.
He is a tall, kind of lanky. He honestly looks...
J-Ron Curse.
He looks similar to Curse. Yeah, that's a similar build. And so when you know the athleticism, but when you can see the instincts, the run fits, the IQ, and then for him to be able to just form tackle, stand a guy up. I was, chatting with a few different people from the Cowboys after the game, just kind of getting some thoughts. And, one of them had told me, like, that's a big back he held up there. That's the kind of stuff that when you see it, that's why we believe in him. That's why, there was a chance that they were, they considered taking him in the 2nd round. They got him in the 3rd. They were thrilled with it, but they really believe in him and they really think they have something special. I thought the linebacker core as a whole, Devin Harper played well at times. Damone Clark I thought was really good.
Damone Clark was getting a ton of media and Tolo love.
And that's the thing where we had some, I think some sneaky questions, sneaky concerns about linebacker depth on this team. And so this doesn't mean it's fixed by any means, but for 3 guys to come out here, your depth behind Micah and Leighton Vander Esch to step out in this game and perform well, that gives you a bit of confidence moving forward.
All right, we also have to I wasn't expecting Bobby to give a star up to this player, especially after what he did at the goal line after this pass completion.
At the 27 of the Jaguars, back to throw. Good block from Richards. Over the middle to Dowdle. Dowdle comes left, makes a man miss. Good block from Tolbert to the 5. He fumbled the ball. It's rolling at the goal line, and the Jaguars have it.
So he did fumble. That's obviously not good. But overall, I thought that he showed the stuff that the Cowboys like about him. Like you see some of the juice, some of the wiggle, the burst that he's got. And he is, in all honesty, probably their best pass protector in the backfield at this point on the roster. I don't have a good handle on Ronald Jones and where he's at with that, but I know that he's better than Deuce Vaughn. He's better than Pollard at it. He's better than Malik Davis, who Malik Davis gets a star down for completely whiffing on the blitz pickup. I think it was on the 2nd series of the game where there was a blitzer that just ran completely free because he didn't have the awareness to step into the hole, find the blitzer, pick him up, and block him. And that ended up ending the drive there. And so Dowdle, somebody who shows he can pass protect, he can catch the ball. He's got the field vision and the quickness to get where he needs to go. And so I thought Rico Dowdle showed a lot of what they like about him.
And then finally, for this edition of Star Up, Star Down for the Cowboys preseason opener against Jacksonville. Look, I know it was for the other team. We got to give it up. We got to give a star up to the number 1 football play of the weekend, according to all the TV shows.
Rourke on 3rd and long, back to throw under duress, and he got away from Bohanna, and now, he still got away and throws to the goal line, and it's caught for a touchdown.
Unbelievable.
By Quadri Allison, who spent last year in camp with the Cowboys.
Wow.
He is sacked once, he's sacked twice.
A touchdown.
And Allison got away from Harper and caught it for a touchdown.
Wow.
Wow is right, Babe Laufenberg. Nathan Rourke broke 3 Cowboy tackles, falling to his knees, touchdown, dart, 3rd and 16, basically ending the game. This guy was fantastic. I mean, he was making plays all over. I was actually surprised his completion percentage wasn't even better. Nathan Rourke, a $153, touchdown through the air. He also ran for 120 yards on the ground, but that play was the number 1 on SportsCenter top 10 and everywhere else.
I try to study the draft as intently as I can. Guess how much college football or professional football I'd ever seen of Nathan Rourke?
Johnny Manziel study time.
0.0,
Yep.
to quote Johnny Manziel. He was somebody who played at Ohio. I wouldn't have watched a whole lot of Ohio tape, but man, he was impressive. We were all kind of chatting about that even before that play. There were 3 or 4 different times where it's like, damn, like that guy, like that was a nice throw, or man, he eluded the rush there, and he was very impressive.
Let's go to cut number 4, if we can. My question is it wise to overreact to a preseason game? Because social media said, don't care, it's happening. If you did, what was your overreaction to the Cowboys on Saturday? Cut number 4.
At the 27 of the Jaguars, back to throw. Good block from Richards. Over the middle to Dowdle. Dowdle comes left, makes a man miss. Good block from Tolbert to the 5. He fumbled the ball. It's rolling at the goal line, and the Jaguars have it.
Now, this is not one of my favorite moments of the game. However, Corey, I do need to admit to you, one of my favorite moments of the game was also a bad play for the Cowboys.
Oh my gosh! Why?
Okay, look. Here's the reason.
Is this the quarterback escaping the pocket?
No,
okay.
That was really bad.
All right.
It was Will Grier, because the people behind us at the game, I just thought this was such an amazing sentiment. And he's like, man, you just watch. Right here, Will Grier, he's about to cook with no sense of irony or anything like that. The very next play, he threw an interception. And I had to try really, really hard not to laugh and turn around and be like, what was that? Mm-hmm. Which, of course, I did not. But in my head, I was like,
dude,
good call, buddy.
You wanted to win that little fight with that guy, too?
No. I let it go. But I was like, yeah, our third-string quarterback's really about to come in.
Let him cook.
Who's been in this league for a while.
Let
really about
Grier
to cook.
Let him be sous chef.
So, yes, chef, he threw an interception. But this was a game that had a lot of lows. I made sure to send Mike a text after the first 2 series when Trevor Lawrence did nothing and turned the ball over, that Trevor Lawrence sucked. And he responded in kind. But is it make any sense to overreact to this game? Or are you like, well, most of our starters didn't play, so,
I'm trying to figure out what an overreaction is. Like, Deuce Vaughn's now our starter?
That's right.
Okay,
yes.
That's not reality.
But what if I said he should be running back 2? Is that an overreaction?
Yeah, right now I think it is. Because I want to see now. Okay, I appreciate that, Reggie. Yes. I appreciate that.
So Reggie says not overreaction.
No, I think the obviously the guy who fumbled is kind of your number 2 guy. I think Malik Davis did 0. Like that's something that's concerning, and I wonder how much of that was offensive line. But man, Deuce Vaughn was great in his first appearance. Can he do it again? And then can he do it again? And I know that K-State Reggie watched every play of that dude, so he's very much knows like what he can and cannot do. I think he can do it again. I really do. But I want to see it first. So I would prefer to see him do it.
All his life he's had to fight.
And
we had on the show.
I love it. I love the underdog. I love the underdog. Yes. I love the fact that the dude did it against the 3rd and 5th strings of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
What happened to the 4th string?
I want to see those two.
They're out.
He wasn't on the field with them. But I want to see him do it again with the starters now. I want that opportunity. Let's elevate him a little bit. Let's mix it up a little bit over the next 2 games, and let's see it. I'm not prepared to say that Mozzie's a bust based on the fact that he didn't have 7 sacks, let alone 1 sack. I liked some of the things I saw. I disliked some of them. I will say the one thing I will probably overreact to right now, and I want to see more of, is Overshown and the way that he played, and Clark and the way that he played. That's awesome. That's exciting right there.
Now, I loved Overshown in this game, especially because he goes, this was not a preseason game. This is real life or a real game to him. And I was like, hell yeah.
Good.
And because I get it, because he's not I know he's not going to get cut from the team or anything like that, but he's angling to show you, I need to be on the field. And so 2 of my overreactions, although I don't think this first one is, Deuce Vaughn should be on the team, not practice squad or anything like that. And Overshown should get real playing time. Those are my 2 positive overreactions for this game.
I think here's kind of another situation you're dealing with then, Kevin, is if Deuce Vaughn's on the team, it's because he can contribute on special teams. Unless he proves he can be the number 2 guy.
Yeah.
All right. And if he can be a kick returner / punt returner guy,
just don't fumble the ball.
Then your guy Turpin has some thoughts that there's some things that he has there's a fight for that spot, man. That wide receiver spot, and there's nothing that's saying they have to keep him around.
Well, it's not like you just have a magical cut that you could play that would show that someone else from the team was concerning on special teams. It's not like you can look down this list and go 1 or 2 and say this was a bad play for the rest of the special teams.
A little bit of a high snap, and Cook gets it off his foot. Turpin drifting back. Oh, good kick. At the 24, splits 2 defenders, crosses the 30, fumbles it at the 35. Ball's floating around at the 43. Which way? Jacksonville's got the ball, and it looks like Gregory Jr. recovers the Turpin fumble.
First of all, I hope that's his entire name. Just
Gregory Jr. Yeah.
It was a turnover palooza. So maybe there is a spot there. But you know the number one overreaction everyone had from this game, although maybe it's not an overreaction, is what happened to all the offensive line depth? Now, I'm not concerned about the offensive line as much as perhaps others, especially since we were prepared that you might not necessarily see all of your starters, but Zach Martin's still not there. My goodness, that did not look great. Not that he would have played in this game, but that did not look great.
And that's what I was saying. That's the only thing I've been concerned about so far has been the offensive line. And I don't know where depth came from. They never had depth. Were the Cowboys talking about their depth on the offensive line? Okay.
Yeah, well, because
they were lying.
Just because we've heard about Let's Go and Josh Ball for, I'm going to say 27 seasons. That does probably not accurate, but
don't forget Farniok.
Farniok. This is the year he's an all-pro. Like, we've been told that these guys are the best, and you didn't even know. It feels like very Mark Cuban-esque. And then you saw it kind of play out, and you're like, oh, that's not great.
Yeah. I think I will overreact to that then.
Okay.
The starting 5 for the Cowboys, decent if Zach Martin's there. And I say decent with all due respect. Like, I think that Zach Martin's great. I want to see a lot more from the rest of the starters there. But man, if one of these guys gets injured, I don't know if you have answers here in this team right now. They might be like, no, we're good. We'll be fine. There's a lot of coach them up things that have to happen.
I really, really want, because of the story, Brandon Aubrey to get this job, but I hope that we bring in another kicker just for competition because,
Didn't he do fine? He was okay, right?
He missed an extra point.
Look, man, extra points are tough.
Those field goals.
They are tough. Everybody knows they're tough.
Are they?
We've talked about this for years, Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to extra points, it's become the most difficult one to make lately. And so that's the big. So, yeah, don't worry about those, man.
Oh, from the 214, overreaction. We got no kicker all season. See, and that does count as an overreaction because they didn't just say right now. If they said right now, I'm like, look, I share your concerns. I want him to get this job. He's local. It's a cool story, but it looked a little shaky.
What'd you think about Jalen Tolbert?
Jalen Tolbert. I want to create an entire segment to my overreaction for Jalen Tolbert because I have caught Dallas Cowboys passing game fever.
Nice.
Okay, good.
Jalen Tolbert, again, I understand what you're saying about Deuce Vaughn and stuff like that, but from what we've seen at camp, and that's, if you factor in multiple levels, maybe it feels like less of an overreaction, but when we talk to him, when you've seen what's going on at camp, and then you see the small sample size of the game, it does feel like a different deal with Jalen Tolbert.
Yeah, he looks different in camp. What he knew and what he like, the knowledge of the playbook, everything that he's supposed to do looked so much better. Now, you couldn't get much worse than what happened last year. Like, I really think that he even looks back at, oh, okay, Kevin, but he cost them a game. All right. Don't forget, he didn't know how to line up. So, like, I don't
recall that.
And those things are stressful things to learn, like on the fly while you're a rookie and everything. But he was like, I got to go pay attention to the details. He looked more like the receiver that I remember watching on film that I told Mike, I think you're going to like this guy a lot by the end of the season.
From South Alabama?
Yeah, I think that's what I was saying is, I think you're going to like this guy by the end of the season. And then last year I was like, oh, I don't even like this guy. This guy that I'm seeing looks more like that college wide receiver. And that's going to translate to the NFL whenever he makes this team, man. I know Simi's got a hit. He wants to say something about it, too. I know there's a lot. Dennis Houston wants to say something about it. Everybody does. And I don't know that Brooks had his best game, Kevin. But we saw in practice and camp, was really, really good, and then he gets on the field, and it's like, oh, hold on, what happened there? So but I think that Tolbert was fantastic for you.
And now another one that comes up, and you already mentioned it, is Mozzie. Whether you want to say too tall or too high, whatever, the play level I know was concerning for people, the way he got pushed back. And I totally hear that.
How fast he comes off the ball. That's
slow he comes off.
That's what I meant.
Oh, boy.
He needs to come off of it faster.
And Mozzie did acknowledge after the game that he is working to become faster off the ball. And that's the thing that, I don't know, maybe I'll disagree about this. It just seems like playing a little lower would be infinitely easier to coach him up on. Then you need to have a better reaction time. I could be wrong about that, but that just seems something that, like, just naturally you have more than, hey, we can just lower your level a little.
Super strong dude. Upper body is insanely strong. And sometimes dudes like that just realize they can push people around with their upper bodies, right?
Yep.
And the get low part of it all, like the get low part of being a defensive lineman and offensive lineman whenever it comes to the run game, that is something that you work on over and over and over. Kevin, this is much like Mike Maddox saying, let's pitch below the strings.
Sure.
Give him a
That's
string.
true.
Say, whenever you get off the ball, you're underneath this string every time. Whatever it is you got to work on to keep him low, you work on that. It's early in his career, man, and I'm expecting to see more growth, but that what he put out there wasn't good enough to say, hey, man, you're that dude.
Corey, do we need to overreact from the 214 to all the blockchain advertisements, since we haven't really heard a ton about crypto like the past year?
Look, man, blockchain
now's the time to buy.
Is I don't even really know what it is, Kevin. So it's a pyramid scheme where you invest your money. Is that wrong? Hold on.
How dare you, sir?
Sounds like you could build a pyramid.
People
with
argue
blocks.
it's for laundering money, not necessarily just a pyramid scheme. Thank you very much.
Laundering money is what I meant to say. When I think of blockchain, I think about building a pyramid, and that's what I was thinking.
Because of blocks?
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna
exactly.
have to take that up
It's a
with
chain
Gavin
of blocks.
Dawson.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Is that?
No, I see it. I think it makes sense.
Thank you.
People just write ones and zeros on the blocks, and you're like, got it.
Okay, we've had a lot going on already. Zeke has gone to New England. That's 1 year and up to $6 million in incentives if he balls out. So Zeke's career will continue for now in New England. And Zach Martin updated his contract with the Cowboys. He is back and gets about $8.5 million additionally to help him be satisfied with his compensation. And he'll be joining the Cowboys in Oxnard for practice starting tomorrow. So don't know what kind of a ramp-up period we have, but there's no doubt he'll be good to go by week 1, right, Brian?
Yeah, there's no doubt he'll be ready for week 1. They will. He gets there. He's probably flying in tonight. They have a padded practice Tuesday and Wednesday. These are supposed to be some pretty big practices for them because the starters aren't going to play against Seattle. Nice. So the news that we hear out of Tuesday and Wednesday will probably be a lot of the CeeDee Lambs, the Dak Prescotts, the Micah Parsons, all that. When we're doing our show tomorrow, I'm sure there'll be a lot of updates that a lot of things that we can draw from those practices.
Right on. Well, until then, we're kind of reacting to Cowboys Jags right here. And just some of the top plays. I don't know what play stuck out to you guys, but the Wanye Thomas pick is a great place to start. The Cowboys have had a knack for years now, going back to maybe Xavier Woods, for finding these guys on day 3 that can come into their defensive backfield and make plays. I love Wanye Thomas's name, so I'd be ecstatic if he can make an impression. But is this the next guy coming up? Maybe is it Marquise Bell? But what about that pick that he had and overall his profile as we start to look towards cut down day? Is this like a shoe-in for the roster? Is he hopeful as a future star? What do you say?
Well, he's a guy that when you watch him also play defensive snaps, they have him on special teams as well. He's a personal protector on the punt team. So that's a guy, the responsibility, of course, of setting everybody up, calling the protection, and then the cadence for the snap. So that's
gives him an edge on Kelvin Joseph.
Yeah, Kelvin Joseph is going to play as a flyer on the outside, and Wanye Thomas is going to be in the role of Noah Brown. Noah Brown last year was your personal protector.
Okay.
He calls the front, he sets everything ready, and then boom, they snap the ball, and then they take off and cover. The thing that was really nice about his interception in that, they were in a situation where Overshown, they were trying to carry routes across the field, and Lawrence was rolling that way, and he was trying to just kind of float the ball in because Overshown was a little bit in a trail position, and if Wanye's not there, that ball's probably going to be completed. He did a good job of getting back, getting depth, and then it was Lawrence trying to fit the ball in, but there was a little bit of separation between Overshown and those guys carrying those routes. So nice play by Wanye, having the recognition, get the ball, get the feet down, and then get out of bounds.
He also gives them a true backup free safety for Malik Hooker, because you look at guys like Marquise Bell, he's got more of a similar game to a Donovan Wilson, to a Jaron Kearse, more of that strong, I can play linebacker some as well, but they don't really have a guy, unless you want to move over Israel Mukuamu, that can be a true free safety for you if something were to happen to Malik Hooker. I think Wanye Thomas is that guy with his skill set.
It was a rough game for Mukuamu, by the way, the other day. Yeah,
okay.
It was, and a little bit, like I say, we've seen him in those games, those big games towards the end of the year, where he was, but he got run through the trash a little bit on some of his coverages.
Another big play that I loved, or I guess two plays, the catches from Ferguson, and Chief brought it up earlier. I know, athletically, he doesn't measure when you're looking at combine type of numbers, but I think the way that he puts it together and the way that he moves when that ball is coming in his transition up the field, there's an aggressiveness to the ball and the turn. And the way that you are able to do that is you have a level of awareness that is oftentimes more important than actual speed or strength. And that's your football smarts, I think, that allow Ferguson to play faster and quicker and maybe stronger than what his numbers say he is. So you stack him up against the other guys, and you're like, wow, this guy's at a disadvantage. I see Ferguson as the best athlete in that core.
Oh, I think that he is. I think he is tight end one, and I've felt that way since the end of the season. I know, Eric, you've liked Jake Ferguson as well. I loved him coming out of Wisconsin. I mean, Brian, we were talking about trust the tape. I thought he was an underrated guy. He's a good route runner, but I think he's more athletic than people give him credit for. His test numbers are solid, but there's also something about just, hey, I'm a gamer, I put the pads on out there, I'm faster than my numbers indicate. He's a guy that stretches the seam extremely well. I thought Schoonmaker actually did a pretty good job. Now, he wasn't throwing the football, but he got himself open on some similar routes that Jake Ferguson had success on. Yeah. Will Grier just wasn't able to get him the ball, but I think Jake Ferguson is going to be in the top 10 tight end conversation by the end of the season.
I think where Jake Ferguson has improved is at Wisconsin, he was kind of a little bit of a clumsy guy. Up the field route runner, kind of a smack backer hook guy. Smack a linebacker, run a hook, kind of guy.
I like
Wisconsin,
that smack backer hook guy.
Yeah, smack backer hook. Smack the linebacker, run a hook. And so, to me, I think that he's improved on his agility. Yeah. I think he's one of those guys. You're right. He tracks the ball well. Wisconsin, the routes that they threw him, there were some vertical routes. But it was kind of
he looked more like Schoonmaker in college.
Yeah, it was a little bit hit and miss there. But here he looks so solid with the release and then up the seam, or then having to get back inside or get to the outside. He presents himself much better as a target than he did 2 years ago.
Okay, what about Tolbert? It was, touchdown was nice, good route to find the hole, and
great design.
What else are we seeing? Is he winning routes that maybe he's not getting the ball, or do we have confidence that Tolbert's going to fulfill his potential?
Let me tell you what, that was right before the half, that was a big series for him because they didn't take him out. There was constant, he was having to run, they had penalties, they got backed up. He's running basically 40-yard dashes till they scored that touchdown. That was one of those series for him where he developed, I think, a lot of toughness and the confidence along the way. Great design on the route. They get the two deep. The safeties are wide. They get the safety to move completely off the hash and then take the route back inside. So really nice design. But it was a tough series for him because it was constant running. And they weren't subbing him out. Now, bro, you got to go out here and make a play for us. He sure did. I think there's a big relief. And the post-game, Zach and I were listening. We played his audio. A lot of relief that, hey, I'm capable. This is what I am. This is the type of player I am. Bobby and I, we were all talking. That's kind of the South Alabama, Tolbert, of
the
him.
Swagger.
The swagger guy, exactly. That was a good game for him.
One of my favorite things so far in Broadus's rehashing of the game is he's complimentary of the design on the screen play to Dowdle. Though the execution from Farniok was off, but he liked the design. And then what did you just say there about the Tolbert touchdown?
The Tolbert touchdown, yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
That's great news.
When
for
you
an
run
offense
route
here.
combinations down the field where it pulls defenders out to open up another area, and it all works. I mean, that right there, those are the teams, when you get down close to the red zone, you got to create ways. There's not a lot of space.
Right.
Create ways to get your guys open.
They had a play to John Stevens as well. It wasn't a touchdown, but it was earlier where they kind of had him go into the middle. You just ran a hook, but they had already had another tight end. I think it was Schoonmaker who had crossed and gone into the flat. So all the defense flowed with Schoonmaker, and then all of a sudden you just have Stevens just sit in the middle and wait. Boom, he's wide open, and it picked up a first down. Again, good design.
The other plays then would be from Deuce Vaughn, who, I think left a lot of people encouraged about what he could be capable of, both catching the ball. It'll be really interesting to see, Dak making the adjustment. It was tough for Will Grier. Deuce Vaughn is open. He's running. How small is that window? Deuce had to jump and come back, and it was an incredible catch. But his run was just incredible. The way that he's sort of swimming through guys, they're all like lunging for him, and he's managing to turn what I think a full-size back would have been brought down 5 or 8 yards in. Nice little hole. You took advantage of it. Okay, we're probably going to move the chains on this series to, boom, I'm 20 yards out now, because it's just so difficult for players to get that low and get an arm around him. And I'm still, skeptical of Deuce Vaughn, the game breaker. But Deuce Vaughn, the down-in, down-out running back that can keep you on schedule, that's there. And outside of Tony Pollard, I don't know why you'd give the ball to anybody else.
I'll give Patrick Walker from DallasCowboys.com a lot of credit for this one. He says when you watch Deuce Vaughn, it's like he teleports himself. He's here and he teleports himself over to here. Yeah. It's kind of one of those things.
It's Messi-esque.
Yeah, you just get through this hole, and there's some quickness there to it. The receiving stuff is all going to be like that. That's going to be the key, because to me that's a big part of his game.
It is
his ability to catch the ball in space and then break. We saw it a couple of times. Jacksonville pinned him a couple of times down there. They had to kick the field goal. They threw the ball to him a couple of times. Couple open field tackles that were able to get him down. But for the most part, he is going to break some ankles along the way with him in space.
Dude, in small he's so quick. And he's explosive. You're right. He doesn't have the long speed. We talked about that. He will get caught. But he is a chunk play type of player. Yes. So he might not rack off a 70-yard touchdown run for you, but he can give you a nice 30-yard pop here and there to add some explosiveness to your offense.
Like Zeke year 2. But even though he's not heavy, the power and the size of him gives him that incredibly low center of gravity that's going to make him play, I think, like a 230-pound player. It's just way too solid. Messi's running around at 150 pounds, but he's got these tree trunks for thighs. You can't knock him off the ball.
No.
And if you do, it's not like a tall guy who can fall over. He's just like a little half step away from getting his balance reset. And that really was impressive. I can't wait to see him do it against other teams, but I think he passed the test to me. I think moving forward, you just kind of assume that, Davis and Dowdle and other guys are going to, work for the scraps they can in that room. But you have your starter and your backup now. And any thoughts of Zeke are now out the window as he went to New England earlier today?